Yo, what's up guys, it's Noah from Glitchmaker, and today I have my 4-1 Locals 3rd place Marincess deck profile. I only lost to Fluwanderies because I bricked 3 games in a row. That's it. So let's get into the profile. Three Blue Tang, best starter in the deck. Foolishes on summon, and when linked off, excavates top 3 and adds a Marincess card. 3 Spring Girl is an extender by banishing a water from grave, and if she's linked off, she mills cards from top of deck equal to the amount of Marincess monsters you control, and you inflict 200 to your opponent for every Marincess card you milled. Very fun time mechanic that I thankfully didn't have to use. 3 Pascalis. She summons a Marincess from hand on normal or special, and you can banish her from grave except the turn she was sent there to add a Marincess Speller Trap, I believe, from grave to hand. 3 Seahorse. She can special summon herself to a zone a Marincess link points to, and you can banish her from grave to special summon a water from hand to a zone a Marincess link monster points to. 1 Mandarin. If you control 2 or more Marincess monsters while she is in your hand or graveyard, you can target a water link monster you control and special summon it to the zone that link monster points to, but she gets banished when she leaves the field. 1 Sleepy Maiden. I did not have a second Mandarin, but this did come up. She can target one of your Marincess link monsters, special summon it, and while she's in the main monster zone face up, she protects your targeted monster from being destroyed by opponent's card effects, and you can banish her from grave to equip a Marincess link to a Marincess monster you control. And 1 Basialima, she protects your Marincess monsters from being destroyed, but it never really came up. And then 1 Silent Sea Nettle, just an extender, and also does give recyclability to some of your cards, but it never came up either. Hand traps. 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, 2 DD Crow. I was playing this because there are Unchained players, but then it ended up being better against Blue Eyes for some reason. 2 Nib, never used it, like usual. I always play Nib, but when I don't play it, it always comes up. 1 Battle Ocean, crap ton of effects. All Marincess monsters gain 200. Each one gains 600 for every Marincess card equipped to it. Monsters you control, extra monsters on the link summon using Marincess Crystal Heart are towers. And when you link summon a Marincess to the extra monster zone, except during the damage step, you can equip up to 3 Marincess link monsters with different names from grave to the summoned monster. 2 Dive. Target a non-link Marincess in grave to reborn it, or if a Battle Ocean is in your field zone, special Marincess from deck. A lot of 2 ofs in this deck. 2 Pot of Desires, banish 10, draw 2. 2 Dark Ruler, going second card. I don't have droplets. 2 Book of Eclipse, it's insane. I would have flipped it against when I was playing against Red Dragon Archfiend, but it never came up because they kind of bricked game 1 and then they bricked game 2. Double Cosmic Cyclone, just back row removal. 1 Monster Reborn, it sometimes allows you to play through Nibiru and is also just a good card in general. I never got Nibiru'd. 1 Called By, never opened it, but it stops hand traps. 2 Marincess Wave, best interruption in the deck. If you control Marincess Link monster, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of the turn. If you control a Link 2 or higher, all face-up monsters you control are towers until the end of the turn, and if you control a Link 3 or higher, you can activate it from hand. Extra deck. 2 Blue Slug. She adds a Marincess monster from grave to hand on link summon. 2 Sea Angel adds a Marincess spell from deck to hand. Did I say deck to hand in this? It adds from grave to hand. I don't remember. I have the memory of a goldfish. 2 coral enemies. She summons a water monster, 1500 or less attack from your graveyard. And if she's linked off, she adds a Marincess card from grave to hand. 1 crystal heart, functionally a vanilla, but you use it because it makes your monsters towers. 1 coral triangle, discard a water, add a Marincess trap. You only add wave off this. And she can soul charge. If your opponent has more monsters than you do, you banish her from grave, summon Marincess monsters whose link ratings equal 3. You typically summon these 2, but there are other things you can do. I just typically summon those 2 because the arrows, and that's an extender. 1 marble drock. She is recursion from the graveyard. This deck has so much graveyard recursion, it's crazy. And she's also a battle trick that I never used. 1 Marincess Aqua Argonaut. She can bounce monsters on your turn, negate opponent's spell traps during their turn by summoning a Marincess Link monster equipped to her. You typically equip Coral an enemy, so even if they out her, you still get her effect. And then you get more recursion. And if you somehow stop your opponent from doing anything and they pass turn, you'll have her and her on board, and then she does stuff, and then you're just going to start popping off. And she's in attack redirection while she's in the EMZ. Great Bubble Reef, she's a heat soul during standby by banishing a water monster from grave. Every time a monster is banished face up, she gains 600 attack for each one. And you can discard a water monster to summon a Marincess from your banished zone. Zelantis. This came up against Blue Eyes and RDA, and I think Gold Pride Punk too. Banish everything, summon everything back. But if you use Coral an enemy or anything that locks you into waters, really, you're only summoning back your Marincess, usually. I did summon back my opponent's Captain Carey when they were on Gold Pride Punk, and they still couldn't do anything. They just didn't have anything to play with, so I mean, it still worked out. Xyz Monsters 1 Abyss Dweller never made it, but if it did come up, it was going to be very, very good. Bahamut Shark and Toad, the Omni and the one that summons the Omni. Side deck. 3 Skullmeister, again for Unchained. The 3rd Cosmic, a Feather Duster. I opened this against Gold Pride Punk, and they bricked so hard they set 2 traps, but they only did anything if I had monsters or was doing anything before activating Duster. I just slapped this down first thing. 1 Change of Heart, out stuff. 2 Goes in Match, only ended up being good against Flu, but then I only saw it in game 2 and didn't see it when I needed it, so I still won the game 2 against Flu, but I lost because I bricked every game. 3D Barrier never came up. Every matchup I had where I could use this, it was a 2-0. I won the die roll, won game 1, my opponent bricked game 2, I won game 2. Very evenly. This did come up multiple times. Great card. I banished a lot of cards face down that my opponent really needed to be able to have any sort of game later on, which is really nice, especially against Red Dragon Archfiend when they bricked. I opened double Dark Ruler, evenly Book of Eclipse against RDA in our second game, and I just had to wait till I drew a playable card, and that playable card was Marincess Blue Tang, and then I killed him. Stealth Kraken. I was citing it because I was more scared of Unchained, so I played Dweller, but I wanted to still have this as an option, so I threw it into my side deck. It kind of came up, not really. I made it a few times, but it wasn't like the deciding factor at all. I think I might have only made it against Flu and I think possibly Blue Eyes or Crystal Beast. Can't remember which one. as I said, I lost against Flu, and I didn't really need to make this. I more often just made Bahamut and Toad because I just wanted an Omni rather than a Pop. And I made the correct choice every time. The Omni was very much better than the Pop. So anyway, you and yes, before anyone asks, you can side deck extra deck monsters. People don't do it very often. So that was my 4-1 Marincess deck profile. I played against Flu round 1, Crystal Beast round 2, Blue Eyes round 3, RDA round 4. I was in 4th place at round 4. We had to have a vote if we wanted to do a round 5 because 3 people dropped. We voted to do round 5. My opponent was the person who was in 3rd place. I beat him 2-0, and then I took 3rd. Awesome. Oh yeah, and I should probably mention what I pulled. Why do I get the feeling this is foreshadowing something? Oh boy.